folks, I have another news story for you all that I can almost guarantee that you have heard nothing about at all. Another one of these gender-confused weirdos just went on an unaliving spree, and luckily the local media has reported on it a tidbit, but the mainstream media is acting as if this story doesn't exist, and it's crazy. Because if a straight white man so much as looks at someone the wrong way in this country, it will make the front page news. You will hear about it everywhere. They will be labeled a sexist, a racist, a phobic, what have you. Meanwhile, we have these people who somehow don't understand what gender they are. These people are continuously carrying out violent acts all over America, and chances are you don't even know it's happening, because every time something like this happens, they memory hole it. They choose not to pay any attention to it. They sweep these stories under the rug. But just in the last month or so, I have brought you all various stories just like the one I'm about to bring you right now. And when I say just like, the details are always a little bit different, but it always starts with someone being confused about their gender and being upset that the outside world isn't going to view them as a man or a woman, when in reality they're the opposite of whatever they claim to be. Now, in this case, we have a 16-year-old, ladies and gentlemen. A 16-year-old. What were you doing when you were 16? Think about it. I can guarantee you weren't confused about your gender. You knew very good and well what tidbits you had between your legs. You were probably out there having fun, living your teenage life. You weren't a depressed weirdo that was coming up with new pronouns, in your room, scared to socially interact with other people. But that's the way a lot of kids are these days. So a 16-year-old by the name of Julia Egler, I believe her last name is. Maybe I'm mispronouncing it. But I guess she was upset, okay? She was upset that her mother was not being accepting of her transition. You see, she wanted to turn into a boy, or was it a boy trying to turn into a girl? It's really confusing these days because the media refuses to tell you the actual gender of these psychopaths. But Julia was upset that her mother was not accepting of her transition. So what did Julia do? Julia did what she's been inspired to do by a lot of these politicians, a lot of these weird trans activists online. You see, they encouraged Julia to take action against anyone who would question or challenge the gender in which she chose that she was going to be today. Okay? You see, these trans activists, they are encouraging young weirdos to commit acts of violence when people won't conform to their mentally ill nonsense. So what did Julia do? Julia ambushed her own mother. Julia patiently waited for her mother to get home. When her mother opened the door, Julia was right there to welcome her with a pow pow in hand. And Julia executed her mother and her mother's boyfriend after welcoming them home. Literally, they opened the door. She says, "Welcome home, mama." And then she takes her mother's life and the life of her mother's boyfriend. And then she tries to stage a home invasion so she can blame all of this on some random straight person that's not confused about their gender. But this is a crazy story that she should have heard about. We all should have heard about this story. I should have heard about this story even sooner. But you gotta dig for this stuff, man. It's like freaking gold. you're probably more likely to strike oil than to strike the truth when it comes to when one of these gender confused weirdos does something crazy. We're still waiting on the manifesto from the trans school shooter, but hey, that's a conversation for another day. I want to go ahead and roll this clip. Let's listen to some of what's being said here. Let's figure out what's going on, even though we won't get the whole truth. And then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
Palm Bay police say a 16-year-old girl killed her mother and mother's boyfriend in this home behind us. Good afternoon, I'm Greg Wormuth.
And I'm Martha Sigalski. Investigators say the murder happened amid a strained relationship between that teenager and her mother. Police found the couple shot to death in a home on Banker Road Northwest near Malabar Road on Sunday. Investigators headed out there when they say that teen called 911 with a made-up story about a break-in. Channel 9's Nick Pampantonis live at the police department. And Nick, police say that lie, though, quickly fell apart.
Yeah, they said some of the evidence was right in front of them. They said the teen confessed to an ambush-style attack where she waited for them to come home, said welcome home, and then opened fire. And again, some of that evidence that showed that her story was fake, they said was right in front of them.
I mean, it's horrible.
Neighbors shocked to learn the large scene of flashing lights on Bencher Road Northwest early Sunday morning was police responding to the murders of a 38-year-old woman and her 22-year-old boyfriend.
They're nice people. They're waving every time they, every time they pass by in this area, they're waving to us.
Police say the killer was the woman's 16-year-old daughter, Julia Egler. They say Egler called 911, claiming someone broke through the back slider. The teen reported hearing lots of screaming and 5 or 6 gunshots while she locked herself and her dogs in the bedroom. But investigators say the story didn't hold up. Glass was found on top of the bodies and bloody footprints matching Egler's shoes. And police say security camera video showed no one broke in. Neighbors said the girl recently tried to run away.
2 weeks ago when I was driving home, this whole street was lined with police officers and dogs and stuff.
Officers say Egler confessed she killed her mom and boyfriend with her mother's gun because she didn't approve of their relationship, and her mother didn't accept Egler's decision to change genders. She said things reached a boiling point.
Whoever do it, hope she's gonna be pay for it or whatever she do, because she don't have the right to do that.
Egler is facing 2 counts of first-degree murder. We understand police right now are working on releasing that 911 call. Live in Palm Bay.
I hate to have to be the bearer of bad news here, ladies and gentlemen, but you see, kids weren't killing their parents because their parents wouldn't allow them to be the opposite gender when I was growing up. Like, we didn't have any little boys killing their dad because they wanted their dad to view them as a little girl. We didn't have any little girls killing their moms because they wanted their mom to view them as a little boy. This was not a thing when I was growing up. It was not a thing when my mom was growing up. It was not a thing when my grandparents were growing up. It was not a thing when my ancestors were growing up. This is something new. Because all of this trans nonsense, it's something new. It's something that has been created by a group of mentally ill people, and it has been spread far and wide. Little young kids are getting brainwashed by this weird agenda on a daily basis, and that's how you know this is all fake. There was not a single such thing as a trans kid when I was in high school. And I'm 33. Not that old. High school was a while ago, but it's not like it was decades and decades ago, okay? None of this stuff even existed. It was not a thought on anyone's mind. There was not a single gay kid in my school that thought, hey, maybe I'm a girl, or hey, maybe I'm a boy. That was just not a thing. Yeah, you had gay kids. Some were more feminine. Some were more, you had some gay, girls that were more manly or what have you, but you didn't have anyone thinking that they were something that they were not. You didn't have anyone being brainwashed and told that you can be the opposite gender and the rest of the world better conform to your mental illness. They better bend the knee and accept whatever you want to be viewed as. We didn't have that stuff. This is new modern day, nonsense that's being placed on these kids. And how many examples do we need? How many stories do I have to sit down and bring to you all about this stuff? You know what I mean? To see that there's obviously a problem here. There is a direct connection to people being absolutely insane and violent and people being confused about their gender. And you're not going to convince me otherwise. Why is such a small, minuscule portion of our population, why are they constantly in the headlines for committing crazy, violent acts? It's almost as if there's a connection there between mental illness and between not accepting what gender you are. But then again, I mean, that's just common knowledge. Obviously, these people are crazy. And let me rewind. Not all of these people are crazy. The people who actually believe it, they're crazy. But a lot of these young kids, they were normal young kids before they got indoctrinated. And, they don't even know what the hell they're doing anymore. They don't know who they are, what they want to be. They're confused. And unlike past generations, they didn't have, one thing about me growing up and my mom growing up and my grandparents and my ancestors, we did not have this constant propaganda stuffed down our throat everywhere we look. But that's what kids these days have to face. They are facing intense levels of propaganda being pushed on them by their teachers, being unknowingly pushed on them by their peers, pushed on them through music, books, TV shows, you name it. And a lot of these kids, they don't understand, how to navigate through this. And sometimes you wind up with a story like this one, where this young woman, or whatever it is, this young it thought that killing their mother was an appropriate response to their mother not being okay with them transitioning their gender. But in these warped minds of these sick individuals, they think that's an appropriate answer. They think that it's okay, that morally it's okay to kill someone if they don't accept that, hey, you're not really a boy or you're not really a girl. But folks, we're going to see more and more and more and more stories like this. And for every story that I bring to you all about this, for every one of these stories you see online, there's 10 or 20 more that they're still hiding that we'll probably never hear about. But for now, let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell. If you agree with anything I say here today and you want to support the channel, you can do so via Cash App or Super Thanks. But I'll talk to you all soon in the next one.